Good morning, everybody. Welcome to your Rangers Review morning briefing. It is Monday, the 9th of June. I'm Derek Clark, and I'm joined this morning by Stevie Clifford. How goes it, Stevie?
I'm good, mate. Hope you're well. Hope everybody else is on this fine Monday morning or something like that.
Yeah.
Been up too late last night, Derek. I'm tired.
Oh, were you? What time did you go to bed?
Well, I didn't finish work probably didn't get in till just before midnight. And then, do you know what I haven't ever watched before? John Wick. Never seen it before, the film. So I watched the first one. It was very good.
What's it about? Before we crack on with the Rangers news.
John Wick's Keanu Reeves. He's an assassin in retirement, and then somebody kills his dog, and quite rightly, he wreaks havoc on the world. So, as you would do, Derek.
Yes,
you know,
of course.
Watched that last night. First ever time I'd seen it. Somebody mentioned it to me, so I went and checked it out. And now I'm quite tired.
Yeah, I've started watching that police thing on Netflix. Don't know if you've seen that, Stevie. The one it's based in Edinburgh, Glasgow, I think. It's got still game characters in it, but it's pretty good. Something Department Q or something like that. It's pretty good. So
never seen it. Everybody's talking about that Mobland, aren't they? I need to try that as well. Pierce Brosnan and stuff in it. Tom Hardy.
Yeah, I've not seen that yet.
Need to try that as well.
Yeah, it's on the to-do list. Right, let's crack on because people, of course, are not tuning in for a TV review. They're tuning in because they want to hear about Rangers, of course, and lots of links over the weekend. So we'll get through as many as we possibly can. A whole influx of players have been linked with moves to Ibrox. Before we talk about that, a quick word for our podcast sponsors. Willows Fencing, the Glasgow-based fencing company you can trust, and are proud partners of the Rangers Review. They've got over 20 years of experience in unparalleled quality. Their qualified team is dedicated to keeping customers happy and providing exceptional work, aiming to deliver nothing but perfection in every job. They offer free consultations, whether it's small-scale refurbishments or a large-scale complete fencing project. There's no task they cannot or will not tackle. And you also get 10% off if you use the code Rangers Review if you head over to their website, willows-fencing.com. Right, where shall we start then? Well, we'll discuss news over Friday. I think it came out after you mentioned it on the show on Friday, Stevie, about players that Rangers should be looking at bringing in. It was confirmed that Rangers are considering a move for Leicester defender Connor Cody. They have had interest in him before, 32 years of age now. And he's certainly a player of interest. He's under contract at Leicester until the summer of 2026. Was pretty ever-present in a Wolves team. And then, of course, had a stint on loan at Everton and has been playing at Leicester City, who, of course, were relegated last season. With Robin Propper looking like he's going to finalise that move to FC20, I think that should be a pretty decent move, I would say. There's going to be a number of players like Steve, as you touched on Friday. I think bringing in some experienced pros will be of benefit. Of course, Leon Balogun's walked out the door. I think that would be important for Rangers to have a scattering of experienced pros in that new look squad for next season. Connor Cody, I would not be opposed to seeing him pitch up at Ibrox.
Well, he would certainly fit the bill in some ways. He's very, very good with the ball at his feet, isn't he, Derek? Used to be or has played previously quite a lot as a six. So he's not averse to having the ball at his feet. Strong, physical, good in the air. Very much a siege-like defender, I think. But, if we're going to be pressing very high, would his lack of pace be a problem? So that might be a thing. But look, it's undoubted we have no experience in central defence anymore. And as I pointed out, and as everybody's aware, Robin Propper leaves. Really only got John Souttar as the only experienced centre-half left. When you think that Clinton and Ciala, you don't really know where he's going to feature, do you? Russell Martin will need to have a look at him. He might be part of the squad. Russell Martin might decide that a loan move might be better for him. So, that link up with Rafe Rovers is pretty far down the line, so we need to wait and see where that turns up. I wouldn't be adverse to sending Clinton and Ciala down there for 6 months just to learn a wee bit of the Championship, very rough and very competitive. I would be quite happy to see him down there and kind of learn his trade a wee bit. And people might say, oh, that's a step below or what. And it might be. People are right, but it's all about getting the first team football, Derek. So it would depend on, it also gets you used to the Scottish game, which I think you've seen at times last year. I think Clinton Enciala is very good on the ball, very good positionally, but physically he was taken aback. If you think about the St Mirren performance at home when St Mirren won at Ibrox, he was at fault there, getting muscled out the way and stuff. And it wasn't as if, he was barged about by a big guy. So
yeah,
I think he needs to learn a wee bit. So with all that said, you've only really got John Souttar, and bringing in, so ideally you need 4 centre backs, don't you? Especially if you could change from a 3 to 2 centre backs at times. So Connor Cody, I think he's got a year left at Leicester. He's on quite a high wage. He would need to take a significant cut to come here, that's for sure. But I think Leicester are in the position where they'll be looking to offload a few players, aren't they? So
yes.
What we do need to be careful of is it doesn't become a, you don't want to take guys that are in that are well past it. You need to be careful of that. I'm not sure of where he is recently, so it's a decision certainly for Russell Martin and his and the recruitment team where it is on that one.
Yep, just on the NCL, an interesting point came in here from Bluebells of Blue, who often messages in. Hope you're well, buddy. Says very much a Martin player for me, playing out from the back with his range of passing. I think he'll be given a shot. He definitely needs to up his intensity, though. I would like to see him given a shot. I've seen enough last season from him that I want to see more from. I think he's certainly got potential there to go on and carve a decent career. And it's all about game time. But I think, if he's not going to get that game time at Rangers, Stevie, if he can be put out on loan to Wraith Rovers, perhaps for 6 months to play regularly, that may not be such a bad thing, I guess.
I think the big worry for me is that we can't have him stagnating, because exactly. I would agree with your comments, and I think Bluebells is right as well, and I have said that he's very good on the ball and things like that. But what I don't want is Clinton Enciala to be kicking his heels for 6 months. And I understand that people might say
Leon King. We've seen this movie before, Steve, haven't we?
Not only Leon King, but Adam Devine and Cole McKinnon, and these guys have now ultimately suffered from 2-3 years of nothingness. So Clinton and Ciala, we have to be careful. I understand that people might say the Championship isn't a level for him, but if you look at this kind of physical nature of some of Clinton and Ciala's performances, I think there is an issue there. But when he comes on, he's very good on the ball and things. And don't forget, he came on at Parkhead in that victory, and he did very well because that kind of game suits him, because he didn't have that physical challenge. It's a different side of the game, Derek, that he needs to learn, I think, especially in Scotland. So if Russell Martin decides that he's not going to be the immediate part of the squad, then I would be quite happy to see Clinton and Ciala go and take a loan like that. And I think it would be very... Wraith Rovers is a good club in terms of they're not struggling in the Championship. They've got a good support, a good little ground, and I think it would be a very decent place for him to go for 6 months. And if he does well on that, Rangers could bring him back at Christmas, and then there could be options in the Premiership or elsewhere that they could then, decide, right, he is ready to take a wee bit of a step up. So we just need to be careful in terms of what we do with Clinton and Ciala, and that'll be a decision for Russell Martin and his and the team, that's for sure. So
that sort of emerged on Friday. Over the weekend, there's been other names. So apologies if I miss someone out. We are well and truly in the transfer season now. We can look at players. This time last week, it was all about the manager, of course, but we can now turn our attention to what sort of guys are going to be coming in and playing for the club. Alan Nixon, who is a bit of a transfer guru, is quoted that Rangers said to be keen on Flynn Downs, who previously worked with Russell Martin, 3 different clubs, incidentally, and Rangers said to be keen on him. He's a playmaker, but according to reports, the fee could be £10 million or more, which would be an awful lot of cash. Left back Carrie Toffolo also said to be on Rangers' radar. He's believed to be quitting Nottingham Forest and said to be keen on a move to Ibrox. He only played a handful of games last season. So, yeah, a left back there and a playmaker Rangers are said to be interested in. Have you seen much of both, Stevie?
No, I've heard a wee bit about both, but I've not seen any. I would think that £10 million is an awful lot. I would be inclined to think that the interest in other players that are mentioned over the weekend, I think they're linked to a Uruguayan defensive midfielder, who's I think the boy's names might be Sanchez, and then there's an Israeli boy up front, Dor Turgeman.
Dor Turgeman or Turgeman,
yeah. So we'll call him Big Dan, just for surname wise. I think these links are more likely, Derek. And if you look at the spine of the team where we need people in, a 9 and a 6 and a couple of centre halves and a goalkeeper are exactly the spine of the team that I think we'll be looking. Left back, I can see it happening. I honestly think that Ridvan Yilmaz will move on. I think that Jeffy will stay part of the squad and be able to pick and choose where we play Jeffy and get him game time as well, which might be handy for his development. So we just need to wait and see with regards. So I can see why Toffolo would be linked. So I've also heard another couple of names as well as centre backs as well. So we just need to wait and see where it's going to land and what's going to come of it. I don't see us. I would put it like this: if they went and got somebody like Downs and it was a £10 million fee and stuff, that would be a hell of a sign of intent from the football club. I think he would fit into Russell Martin's where he wants it. If you're thinking about having a 6, maybe Raskin, Diamande, and then Downs as you're kind of attacking one of the three, then I think that could work. And the balance of that could be quite nice. But it's a hell of a lot of money for a guy, So and you're paying.
It is to Rangers. It is to Rangers. To other clubs, especially down south, it's chicken feed. Let's be honest. But I mean, you get that.
Well,
that
if it's chicken feed, Derek, and they don't need it so much, they can shave a few million off for us and come down a wee bit for Rangers. Because I think if you spend that kind of money, then on all these guys, it's got to be right. And I think these are the things. So interesting links. Toffolo, that makes sense to me. It could just be an easy link because we are in the market for a left back and a left wing back type. Because I think our fullbacks will very much be like wing backs. They will bomb on and get forward, a la to the old Warburton days where they were practically, right forwards at times, right and left forward. So I can see why Toffolo would be linked, but I honestly, I'm not sure on any links. It's going to be interesting. I'm pretty sure that me and you, if we started a tally, we're at 6-7 already. By the end of the transfer window in September, that'll be in its hundreds. That's for sure, because we'll be linked with 3-4 different ones every few days, if not every day. So it's going to be interesting.
Yep, it's good though. It's exciting, some of the names that have been linked with the club. It's interesting times ahead. Yeah.
Do you know what's interesting about it, Derek? And what I like now is that we have the structure there. So you've got a chairman, assistant chairman, your sporting directors there. Very soon you'll be joined by your academy guys, your medical guys, everybody else that's going to come in to make up that structure will be here. The only thing that you and I will have to worry about is who's coming in the door. And that's going to be a nice position to be in. New commercial they spoke about last week. That's in its dying sort of embers of appointing somebody. So all these things are hopefully going to come together in the coming weeks. We can enjoy that being fitted together like a wee jigsaw, perhaps. And then we can concentrate on who's coming in, which is always going to be interesting. And by the way, it's little under a month that we start playing games again. So it comes thick and fast. And I think that'll be interesting. Not against the clock as such, but they definitely need to get players in. I expect that players will arrive as early as this week. So Russell Martin, I think, starts officially tomorrow. And then from there, I think it'll be all systems go. That's for sure.
Yep, just on the Chilean boy, Jack with the point says, Vicente Pizarro looks a terrific player. Hopefully we can get him. According to a report in Chile, if I'm not mistaken, I think played plays for Colo Colo. Rangers have sent a scout over to watch him. It's a market, of course, that Rangers have been looking at. If you remember last summer, linked with a number of players from over there. They never quite got them over the line, but he is a player that is being quoted.
Is that what I said his name was? I couldn't remember. What did
Martin, I don't know.
That's who I mean. He's the one. He's the one that was linked, wasn't he? Said to be bidding 5.5 million.
Yeah.
I think euros for him potentially. I don't know what the amount was, but he was the one that they're kind of looking at, set to be the new kind of Chilean defensive midfielder for the future and stuff like that. And we definitely need that. Look, Russell Martin plays, as you know, Southampton fans refer it to as a pivot, and I think that's what he used to call it, in the six. And he'll be the guy that just sits with your back two, and the rest is all free-flowing attacking players. So we don't have anybody of that mould, Derek, at this moment in time, and it's definitely a position where you're going to sit. I think Nico Raskin, and I think Barry Ferguson done a tremendous job with Nico Raskin, because I think Nico, was sitting quite a bit, and then Barry encouraged him to get forward. You've seen the return of goals and assists, and Nico Raskin starting to really affect the game at the other end. I wouldn't be surprised if a guy like Nico Raskin could thrive in Russell Martin's system in an 8 position, where he has that license, Derek, to bomb forward. And, because Russell Martin plays with an 8 and a 10, so one's got license just to be forward, the others are box to box, and I think Nico could do really well in that. Likewise, Mohamed Diamande, and you need a designated 6. And if you've got that guy, then you've got Bailey Rice in there as well, who can also sit and be mentored and take his time and get game time as well. So, the midfield's probably, as much as it's light, I think, of 2 players, it's probably the position in the team where it's most fruitful. If you think about Raskin, Diamande and Rice already being in there. So, Connor Barron also there to make up the squad as well. So, 1 or 2 more, for example, the boy Vicente Pizarro, if he was to come in, if you were to get a mould like Downs, somebody like that, they need an attacking midfielder, a proper goal-scoring attacking midfielder.
Lyle Cameron's coming, remember, as well. So
Lyle Cameron, to me, will be a squad player, and I think he'll be more of a forward-type player. I think he'll be somebody that comes on playing off the left and the right-hand side. Potentially, could drop in and fill a number of positions, but Lyle Cameron for me will be a squad player, somebody that comes in and influences. But that's great. See, in an ideal world, and this may sound controversial for some people, it's not meaning to, but in an ideal world, Jeff D, John Suter, Lyle Cameron, Connor Barron, guys like that, Lyle will make up, Danilo, your kind of players like that will make up your squad and your immediate bench and your squad players from there. And we need to bring in and look to find 8 first-team starters for me. And it's not all going to be possible in one window, Derek. But they do have... Our issue is that, see our guys that should be squad players, they're now first-team players. And I think we need to reverse that a wee bit and try and have that competition and see what we can do and see what we can bring in. And look, not every player that comes in is going to work. Not every player that comes in is going to hit the ground running. It's going to need time. So there's going to be a wee bit of patience. But in order to play the way that Russell Martin does, Derek, we need a hell of a big turnover, that's for sure.
Yeah. Uncle Dave's already done a scout report. He says he was subbed at half-time in the game. We had a scout the other day, had a poor game. So there you go.
That's
Teddy Bear says it was Sanchez, you said, Stevie. So
thank you. The same thing. Sanchez, Pizarro, Vicente.
Chilean sounding name anyway. So Rangers, according to reports over there, said to be interested in that lad. You touched on the Israeli boy. Now, according to reports over the weekend in Israel, Maccabi Tel Aviv striker Dor Turgeman, I'm not too sure how you pronounce it, is his surname, but Rangers said to have had a £4 million bid rejected for him. Now, he's a player we noted a good few months ago that Rangers had sent scouts to watch, and I think Burnley were also keeping tabs on him. He's 21 years of age, and certainly a lot of interest in this lad. He's got good feet for a big lad, as the saying goes, and according to these reports, Rangers have had a bid rejected for him. So Maccabi looking for a bit more cash. Watch the obligatory YouTube reel, Stevie. Everyone can look like Ronaldinho, of course, but he looks like a decent player. And at 21, and I'd be quite keen on this lad.
Yeah. Hi. His
you good in Football Manager?
Yeah. I don't know how to say this. Look, it's not like I'm a massive, knowledgeable about this lad in terms of, I can tell you inside out, but I've done a wee bit of research on him, watched the YouTube stuff, probably like everybody else, looked into his kind of type and what he's like. Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely keen on this one, Derek. This would be an exciting one for me. And he's got the pace, he's got the power, he's got the press.
Yeah.
Really mobile striker, good with his feet, both feet. Really unselfish. A lot of stuff in his clips is him laying it on for others and things like that. So an all-round really good team player. And see what the thing is as well. Seeing Russell Martin's team the way he has it, your striker isn't expected to get 35, 30 goals, 40 goals, whatever you want a top striker to get. He's expected to get 20, but win fouls, press, bring players in. He's more of a team player. And I think that's a key difference. You won't be looking for a kind of a poacher type 9 or a goal scoring type 9. I think you'll be looking for a more round team player in terms of how Russell Martin wants it and how he plays it. If you look at guys he's had in the past, the likes of Shea Adams and stuff, Shea Adams, I think, scored 18 in the season for Southampton with him. But he was a different type of player. He won fouls, fouled at the right time, pressed at the right time, things like that. So I would say that it's a different type of forward. And I think he fits the bill. He's an exciting one. He's at that right age. If you're talking about getting a guy like that for £5-6 million, I think that's a big investment for Rangers, but it's also a really shrewd one. And then you stick him up front with Eagleman also being there. That's quite exciting. And it gives Eagleman the chance because he's still learning the game. He's still not played a lot. You don't want to stifle him too much, but between the both of them, the game time for them could be really good. And that leaves you a question, what's going to happen with Cyril, what's going to happen with Danilo. And I think both their futures are kind of up for grabs, that's for sure. So we'll just need to wait and see how that all works out. But he would be a signing, Derek, that I would be really excited about. Excited about it. And I must admit, from what I've seen of the Chilean boy, Visanto, Pizarro, Sanchez, whatever his name might be. No, Pizarro, obviously. But I think he looks quite interesting as well. And maybe not even necessarily him, but that mould of 6, that style of player, I think would excite me as well. And these are key kind of positions I think that we need to fill. Not to mention we're still, 4 short on wing positions as well. So there's going to be a lot of interesting players linked. It's who we managed to bring in, but definitely Dor Turgeman, Turgeman, whatever you would. Somebody will need to tell us how you pronounce that.
Big man up front.
He would be very exciting for me. And I can see that Sing the Blues says it reminds you of Jelavic a wee bit. Maybe not quite in the bulk stature wise, but because I think he's quite thin and he's quite rangy, I think a wee bit. But I think I mean he would excite me, Derek, genuinely for the first time in quite a while about a signing coming in. I would be looking at this boy thinking, right, this boy can score a lot of goals and be a real figurehead for us. So I would look forward to him coming in, that's for sure.
Yeah, exciting stuff. Rangers also, according to a report in Croatia, are said to be keen on 22-year-old striker Matija Frigan. I think that's how you pronounce it. He joined a Belgian side at Westerlo from Rijeka for €5.5 million back in 2023. Had a decent season for Westerlo, who are one of the unfancied sides in Belgium. Scored 13 goals last season in the league, and a number of clubs also said to be keen. A La Liga side and Hamburg as well have just made it back up into the Bundesliga after a pretty lengthy absence. Again, can't say I know too much about this lad, but again, 22 years of age. he would fit the sort of profile you're looking to bring in, knows the way to goal. Is he good in Football Manager, Stevie?
No idea. I've not heard of this boy at all, so I've got generally no knowledge other than one clip I seen of him on X last night. Somebody put it up, and it looked like he'd lost the ball in the box, and he ended up going past 3 and smashing it in the top corner. And I thought that's quite an interesting goal from him. So, but I don't know absolutely anything about him. But it does look at the pattern of the player, and the profile we're looking at, Derek. Young, goal scoring type, guys that are not quite at the peak of their powers yet. Because we're not going to look, I think that's obvious. We're not going to get a guy that's at the peak of his power scoring 20, 25 goals, because these guys all go for millions and are already at top teams. We need to get the guy the stage before that, like the Hamza Egaman, where you're either completely raw and untested, or you're just a wee bit up from that, which I think, these boys are, the Israeli and the boy you just mentioned. So I think that that's the level we need to get, just before they're about to hit the big time.
Yeah.
Come to Rangers for a couple of years, fire our way to some trophies and things, and then we'll sell you on. And I think that suits us and it suits them perfectly. So, I think that's the stage we're at, Derek, just getting them just before they go to that prime kind of, when they're untouchable levels. So,
totally
I don't think we could get another guy like Hamza who's completely raw, because we already have Hamza. We need not an established figure, but a guy that's potentially there and thereabouts who we can then try and take on to the next level through good coaching and things like that. So I think these are quite interesting links for me. I'm definitely enthusiastic about the Israeli Dor Turgeman. So I'm definitely excited about that one. He looks very, very good.
Yeah. Let's talk about a player who's been linked with a move away. We touched on Robin Proper earlier, who's been heavily linked with a move back to FC 20. And now Ross McCausland, Sky were reporting over the weekend that he's been chased by a number of clubs, namely Leuven in Belgium, Swiss champions FC Basel, which would be a tremendous move for him, and FC Cincinnati in the MLS. They're all looking for a permanent deal for Ross McCausland, who we've discussed on shows before. Stevie, I think for the sake of his career, his international prospects, and for his own footballing health, he has to go away and play games somewhere else. I don't think he's going to make it at Rangers. He's the boy who has lived the dream, but I think it would be best if he was moved on in the summer.
Yeah, difficult one, because he's a really likeable lad. We sponsored him at the podcast on Four Lads for a year that he made his breakthrough, and really likeable lad, got on with him really well. But I think you're right, in terms of his career, it might be good for him to look elsewhere. We've got a problem because he's homegrown, and for our European kind of allocation, he's a handy player to have about, along with Liam Kelly, Bailey Rice, etc. So that's a difficult one for us. But let's be honest, Derek. To play the way that Russell Martin wants him to play, he's not got that raw pace. He's not got the ability to press and push on. So I can see that being one that Rangers would maybe take $1 million, $1.5 million. I'm not sure the fee that's been mentioned for him, but I would be inclined to say that if that's there, then I would be looking to deal as well, because there's a lot of, here's a problem as well. It's not only, there's such a cry from the support to have a fresh start, and I think that's really worth listening to, because somebody like Ross McCausland, unfortunately for him, has got a lot of baggage, and he's associated with a number of poor performances that he's been in. Not necessarily from him, but overall, as well as being, from him at times. So I'm not saying it's all his fault. That's what I'm trying to say. At times, like Pataudry away, he's done really poorly. At other times, he's been in a poor side. So I don't think Philippe Clement helped his development at all. I think he used them really poorly, and he used them at wrong times, and he used them when he wasn't fit a number of times. So I don't think Philippe Clement helped him as much as Philippe Clement might want to spend time telling everybody that it was the fans' fault and we weren't impatient. I think a lot of his decisions on the pitch were utterly garbage. So, I've got no time really for that kind of chat. But Ross McCausland, if the money was good enough, and it suited everybody, and it's the right move for him, then I think it's definitely the right move for Rangers. But that's not only Ross McCausland, Derek. There's a number of players, and I'll go back to it, and I wrote about it in the article at the weekend. I think it came out yesterday for Rangers Review. There's at least 7, 8, 9 players in that squad that could go tomorrow, and you wouldn't miss any of them. And that includes your first team players currently. When you think about Yilmaz, Cyril Dessers, and Jack Butland being the controversial scale of, well, they've scored goals or whatever and a part of the first team. But I think time's needed, Derek, where there needs to be a big change. And I think these guys are definitely available for me. Whether or not they become available for Russell Martin, we'll need to see. But there does need to be a freshness. There does need to be a change. And the thing with all these guys as well, when you think about Butland, Yilmaz, Dessers, I think they've got monetary value and people will be interested in them. And then when you look at
Rami as well.
Well, I was about to say, I think they're first team guys. When you look at the next level, you've got Bayrami, Proper, McCausland, and then you've got Matondo, Cifuentes, Dowell, Davies. When you factor in all these guys can all go, and tomorrow you would be saying, well, we're not weakened. Because whether we like it or not, the one big miss we'd probably have is Cyril Dessers. But if you're going to replace him with somebody anyway in the £5-6 million bracket, it's a like-for-like replacement of a guy that's 31 soon. So, and with a monetary value that we need to start turning over guys like these. So, as I said, I think there's 8 or 9 in there, whatever the number is, that could go tomorrow and we wouldn't miss them, Derek. So,
yeah.
And I think the squad needs that. I think as a support, we need that as well. Ideally, there would be a few more on top of there that go, but there's players in there that won't go, and we'll see their future at Rangers or whatever. So we just need to wait and see what happens in the coming weeks. I think it's definitely going to be interesting. I think it's definitely going to be a lot of business done, that's for sure. But it's not like we're in a rich vein of form. The only ones that will really blink at for leaving this squad is Diamande, Raskin, Hamza Igaman. Everybody else is fair game. And I'm sorry if that's brutal, but it's just kind of the way I think about it.
Yeah. Incidentally, I just checking Leuven are managed by Chris Coleman, so that would be an interesting move for young Ross if he went there. Basel, of course, have recently parted company with their coach. I think he won the last 2 titles, and David Ancelotti was actually linked with a move there, but he's since joined up with his father with Brazil. So he won't be going out on his own. And I think Basel would be a cracking move for Ross McCausland. That would be a real good switch if he could go and join them. They'll be in the Champions League. US might be interesting as well, but I think it's good having a number of clubs keen on him. There may be more as well. Just might start a little bit of a bidding war, who knows? But I think he, for the sake of his career, should be moved on this summer. Right, before we wrap up, Colin got in touch earlier, Stevie. He says, John Wick's body count of the top 10 movies, more bodies per minute than leaving Ibrox this summer. So there you go. Need to give that a watch at some point. But we'll wrap up there for now. I'm like you, Stevie. I think we could start seeing a bit of activity with regards to incomings this week. Let's certainly hope so, because time is ticking, of course, before Rangers are back in action. But we'll say sayonara for now. You up to much the rest of the week, Stevie?
Working, unfortunately, most of it. Early shift this week, so it's not exactly great. But last one on Rangers Review till next week, and then I'll be back then. So it's just need to wait and see. I'll be on my own platform because I'm off every night, so we'll have our own shows and stuff like that on 4 Lads, which is good to check out if people want to. But I think it'll be busy, Derek. I think things will start to pick up this week. So, but apart from that, usual Cubs, Beaver classes for the kids, swimming, football. I've got kids classes coming out my ears at night time, dog walking, all sorts of stuff, Derek. All the usual boring stuff. But apart from that, buddy, I hope everybody that watches and contributes and comments and things like that has a great day and a great week as well. And if not, go and check out the article yesterday and you can let me know if you agree with my thoughts on the squad. And by the way, Chris Jack's got an amazing article today. It's quite long-winded, but it's
Yep.
on the Rangers Review about the takeover and the ins and outs of it, the whys, the whens, you know, what decisions were made to help us get to this point and stuff like that. It's a really, really, really good read from Chris. So it's worth checking out for subscribers and people that are on the site and stuff like that, Derek. I think that's worth saying. I read it this morning, so really, really good.
Yep, he's been working on it for some time, so do go and check it out, folks. It's a really good read. Those of you that are extra members on YouTube will record our weekly Q&A show later on this afternoon, as usual, 2 p.m. As ever. If you are new, then I'll pop the link out on the community page. Get your questions sent in, folks, and we'll get through as many as we possibly can at 2. Right, enjoy your afternoon, and we'll speak to you later on. Bye for now.